Welcome to the Food Founders interview. This morning's guest is Lauren O'Donnell, founder of Oatsu, someone who was named one of Management Today's 35 women under 35 last year, which has been quite exciting. Overnight oats are in demand, and I don't know if you know this, but Google searches for overnight oats have exploded over the last 10 years. However, whilst they are delicious, I can vouch for that, filling and packed with goodness, they are pretty time-consuming to prepare, which I cannot vouch for. I've not prepared my own overnight oats, I have to say. But since launching in 2020, Lauren has served almost 3,000 customers with more than 20,000 portions of her delicious plant-based oats. And she's managed to go from home kitchen to Oatsu's first nationwide listing with 645 Holland Barrett stores, and achieved a successful overfunded crowdfunding round with Seeders in just a couple of years. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you so much. Yeah, really nice to be here.
I guess the first question is, what drove you to start Oatsu? What were you doing before, and had you always wanted to start a food business?
Yeah, so before launching Oatsu, I worked in the city. So I was working in digital and marketing roles at asset manager Fidelity and then HSBC in the UK and Hong Kong. And it was during that time that I just barely had time to prep breakfast and would pop into the Tesco Express or whatever small supermarket on the way to work. And I'd look around and I could just see pastries and breakfast biscuits and drinks. And I just thought, there needs to be something better. And on Instagram, I could see there were overnight oat recipes that were popping up more and more. So I tried them and I thought, yeah, this is really great. Like, I can prep it the night before, grab it on my way out the door in the morning. And colleagues were making them as well. And I could also see the rise of overnight oats in the US. And brands like Mush, Brekkie, and Oats Overnight were stocked in all the major supermarkets, Walmart, Costco, Target, generating tens of millions in revenue, doing super well. And I thought this could be something here for the UK. And so I started making overnight oats in my kitchen. And at the time I was going to an entrepreneurial course after work with Enterprise Nation, and I brought my first samples there for people to try, and yeah, got really great reviews and people really liked them. And then as I went week to week after that, people wanted to buy them, so they were my first customers. So I was just making them, bringing them, and sharing them afterwards. But that was how I first discovered them. And you already mentioned the virality of the recipes, and it's only kind of gone up and up since then. And still in the UK, there is a gap in the market, and not kind of a dedicated overnight oat brand that's really kind of made a success of it and got onto retail shelves. So we're aiming to be the first. I eventually left my job and then started a online shop. Initially, I was selling them through Instagram. I should mention during that time as well, I did get our kitchen checked by the council, so kind of went through that process and got our kind of 5-star food hygiene rating. And I knew that I needed to look for a manufacturer if I was going to scale this, but it took much longer than I thought it would. Was in the kitchen for some time, making them, selling them online on Shopify and at markets, and approaching like independent shops before it kind of got bigger.
How hard was it to make the decision to quit your job and do this full time?
Yeah, it was. I was quite excited, if I'm honest, just really excited about the idea, and was going to this entrepreneurial course because I'd always had a kind of an interest in startups and was really enjoying what I was learning and all the sessions, and just thought, if I don't do this now, then will I ever do it? I don't have anything to lose. Why don't I just go for it for a year? And I could always go back to the corporate world if I have to. So I thought I'll give myself a year. As I mentioned, finding a manufacturer took a lot longer than I thought. Things also snowballed and kind of just got busier and busier, and realized that, that wasn't going to be a reality.
So what's in the current product range, and how did you decide and develop those flavors?
Yeah, so I've got a few here which I can show you. So we've got some brand new packaging, which I'm really, really proud about. But yeah, our overnight oats are entirely plant-based, and our packaging is recyclable. So we soak our oats. This is a blueberry flavor, a much taller pot than we had previously. They're kind of a great ready to eat on the go breakfast. So they're in the chilled food to go category. Just wanted something super simple that you can just pick up and have while you're on the go, or if you are working from home, or you just don't have time to prep overnight oats. You might not know our customers say that they struggle to get the consistency right, get it like creamy and liquidy enough, but not too liquidy, and then also to pack all the flavor in and it not just be kind of a bland pot of oats. Our flavors are, we've got kind of like layered pots with a compote on the bottom. We've got another 2 flavors which are a little bit more indulgent than these fruity ones. So we've got banana biscuit, and that's our best seller. And we have choc peanut, and that's made in collaboration with Manulife peanut butter, which is delicious. How I came to the recipes, it was a lot of trial and error and a lot of testing myself.
So the recipe, it doesn't sound like the recipe changed significantly as you've kind of grown and scaled the business.
Yeah, it hasn't changed a lot. It really hasn't. It's been pretty much consistent. And it's great that he was able to kind of take our recipe and basically run with it.
Brilliant. So do you have an idea of who you're making I mean, obviously you started off making it for yourself. As you've kind of moved on, have you got an idea of who you're making the products for? And is that based on research or experience or something else?
Yeah, so I mentioned that when I was working in the city, I could see a lot of colleagues were making them. And so I guess busy time for professionals who value health, but also convenience are our target audience. And we can see from our direct-to-consumer online store customers that split approximately 75% female, 25% male, and predominantly between the ages of 25 and 55. So a little bit older than I first expected, given that I initially spotted the trend on Instagram and TikTok. But yeah, when we're running ads, we see that they perform best with people who are interested in kind of health, wellness, fitness, gym, things like that. We haven't done specific kind of focus groups to get feedback. It's something that I am looking at for the future. But when we are in any independent store, so we've been in 3 different Ray the stores across London and independent coffee shops, garden centres, I always do sampling. I think it's the best way to hear feedback in real time on the ground. So always asking what people think about the packaging, about the flavour, consistency, where they see themselves using this product in their day-to-day life. And it's great that now more and more people are saying, oh, I love overnight oats, I make them myself. Like, it's such a game changer. Oh, it's so cool that I can now kind of grab them. So yeah, I'd say if you're in a shop, just try and get out there. I know it's time consuming and can be tiring, but just like get out there and sample as much as you can.
What's the ultimate aim for Oatsu, or the mission?
So our mission is to make it easy to enjoy a healthy and convenient breakfast on the go. So we just want to make breakfast easier and better for everyone, and we'll achieve that through increasing our distribution and just being available in not only retail but anywhere where you're looking for breakfast, whether that's your office, gym in the morning, convenience store, yoga studio, school, university. So there's still a long way to go.
You actually mentioned you are actually working with a manufacturer at the moment. How did you find the process of finding the right partner for the business?
I looked at Salsa and BRC directories, which I'd recommend anyone do if you haven't. In the end, so I also asked around, and through communities like Bread and Jam, or even here in Frog Hop, like there are going to be a lot of food founders who are working with manufacturers who might be doing something that's not directly competitive but similar. So perhaps they have a chilled product, if you're in chilled, or they do snacks or just something similar. If you ask around, other people's manufacturers might have spare capacity at that time, and they might be willing to share that information with you and share a contact with you. You can also go to, I believe, Frog Hop. You guys can help people find a manufacturer. There are lots of services out there for people that you can ask for help. But if in the first instance, I would look at the Salsa and BRC directories. So we were connected with our manufacturer through another food founder in the way that I mentioned. So his manufacturer was just doing the MPD work for him at the time, and we were looking to commercialize our recipe and make sure that it could work in a factory environment. And so we connected and started working together on MPD, and then he was able to support us with the manufacturing.
Brilliant. And presumably the levels of production you needed for direct to consumer on the website are different from what you're going to need to support Holland and Barrett. Was that part of the conversation you had with the manufacturer?
Yeah, definitely. So we explained our business plan and growth plans, and Fortunately, he was willing to work with us at a smaller scale. So he is a smaller manufacturer and was able to do smaller runs. And we produce our products weekly, and that was quite important for us. So I think there is a benefit in working with a smaller manufacturer initially. I know it can be hard to find someone who can do as smaller runs as you need. And that was the biggest challenge, because we were speaking to other manufacturers who wanted to make thousands and thousands of units in a run. And that just wasn't viable for us right at the start.
Yeah.
But you need someone who can scale with you as well, and who has the capacity to grow with you, and also who has a storage space if you're working with a chilled product, to store your product until it's collected. So yeah, lots of things to factor in. Also, how to extend the shelf life of your product is really, really key. And we've had a lot of different discussions about that.
What's kind of been your approach to sales and channels as you've grown?
We split our business into a few different channels. So direct to consumer was where we started, and it was the first one. And I love having that direct relationship with customers. That channel, I guess the way that you would sell through that channel is, I think, by being active on social media, doing regular email marketing. So we use Klaviyo. At the moment, we are running Facebook, Instagram ads. And we've tested different imagery and video content and seen what works best. And we are running ads at the moment. We've gone on and off with that depending on whether it's like a key period for us. So we'll kind of push it at various points in the year, and depending on kind of what content we have to hand. And then retail is obviously the biggest channel. So as we've launched into Holland Barrett super recently, retail is now making up a much larger proportion. So I think it's going to be around 60% this year, and then moving up to about 70% of our business next year. And we've laid out a roadmap of where we want to be listed. We were, I think, a great place to meet retailers and buyers, which a lot of you are probably already familiar with. But what we've had great success in is bread and jam. So applying to pitch the retailers. Last year we were chosen by 6 retailers, and then this year 6 again. So it's been a really great way to get that initial conversation, rather than kind of sitting behind a laptop and trying to send an email and just wishing for a reply and not getting anywhere. So I would say, yeah, that's been the best way to meet retailers in our case.
And with you mentioned gyms, and I guess it's a breakfast thing, maybe food service. Have you sort of touched on that world as well?
Yeah. So I was just about to say that we have recently started working with a food service sales consultant. It wasn't something that I had a lot of experience in, or I didn't, you don't naturally know a lot of the players in the food service world like you do with retail. So that's been great. At the moment, we're just getting samples out to a lot of distributors who are servicing the schools, universities, offices, gyms that I mentioned. So I'm really excited about that, because I think our product has so much potential in those like convenient places where you'd find us. And I'd say also there have been some offices that have approached us directly, independent coffee shops that approach us directly. So we're still doing some direct, like where it makes sense for that customer and their size, and they don't say that we have to work with a distributor. We do send directly. And
you did mention the rebrand. How important has been the sort of development of the brand to you, and how's it changed?
Yeah, it's been amazing to see the journey of the brand. I started off handwriting labels in my kitchen, and it would take more than an hour at a time just to do them really neatly. And then we invested in working with a graphic designer. That lasted for about a year. We stuck with that design for about a year, and then we moved on to working with this current designer. So I can show them again. This is our like current packaging. So we use a lot of the like really nice kind of vibrant colors, and I really wanted it to like stand out on shelf, capture attention, be bright and colorful, and also show the different like ingredients in the pot, so that it looks really delicious and you know that it's a food product. So yeah, I've been really happy with our design up until now. We also took part in an accelerator recently with Unrest for mission-driven food and drink, not just food and drink, sorry, consumer brands. And we got support from an agency called Uncommon, who offer some time through the accelerator. And that was really great to, they've adapted our logo a little bit and given us a really great brand book with a set of design guidelines and rules, which is really helpful for us to use going forward. And we're looking forward to rolling out that slightly tweaked design and branding across like our next run of packaging.
Yes, I guess you've now, as you scale it, you've now got a brand management job to do as well, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Another hat to wear.
Yeah. I've touched on what we've done in terms of marketing already. I think the key channels for us being like organic social media, paid social media, and then email marketing. And in the early days, it was really important that I wanted to share the journey and bring people along, and was quite like probably most days was going on my stories and sharing what I've been up to, the challenges that we're facing, celebrating the wins that we're having, and bringing, initially it was like my friends and family and people that I knew, but then gradually kind of built that community over time. And I think that's really important way to kind of stay connected, and people want to hear what you've been up to. I will also just mention one more kind of route to market listing that I didn't mention before. Rapid Grocery was our first. So our experience with Jiffy Grocery, that was our first experience in retail, after kind of working with some independent shops and selling online. So we were, the buyer did approach us on LinkedIn. So that was very fortunate. He had seen a lot of the like posts that I'd shared about our success, and they were looking to expand their fresh breakfast offering. And it was great. The buyer was fantastic, was willing to give me a lot of his time, which I know can be rare, but we had weekly calls and could understand where across London. So we delivered to about 15 to 20 sites across London, and we knew where we were selling well, what were the kind of key pockets that were performing really well, where we could push it a bit harder. And we became Jiffy's top selling breakfast, ahead of Kellogg's and Weetabix, which was absolutely fantastic. And I think that was because we shared that demographic of like younger urban professionals who were valuing convenience, and having that case study and being able to mention them in the applications that I made to retailers at Bread and Jam definitely helped our application stand out. I think just being able to say that. So I think if you can get that first listing wherever it is, even if it's just one shop, and prove that you're selling really well, your rate of sales doing really well, and you can say that, then that will definitely catch the eye of other buyers.
Can I ask how you funded the business to date?
Yeah, of course. So I put in a little bit of money initially. I think it was really literally maybe 1,000, 2,000, to get our graphic design and those initial materials done. So the graphic design was when we needed that. So initially, as I mentioned, I was handwriting labels, but when we needed a graphic designer, invested in that. And then just getting the materials that I needed to start making them from my home. And then bootstrapped. So just using the profits that we had from those initial D2C sales, reinvesting that. And I've kept it extremely lean. So it's been mainly myself. And we took advantage of the government Kickstart scheme, which was free for businesses. And we had a couple of young people supporting us on a 6-month placement, so mainly helping with digital marketing and social media. And then I am now working with a marketing manager who we hired for 3 days a week, and he's supporting us. Just before we kicked off our crowdfunding campaign, I was realizing I've been through the Unrest Accelerator and an LSE Alumni Accelerator at the same time this summer, which was crazy busy, super hectic, really helpful. But after the accelerator, I realized, okay, I really, really need some support. And I decided I wanted to crowdfund. And I had fundraised earlier this year, and realizing that takes up a lot of time out of your calendar, like so much time. And I was thinking, okay, as soon as we finish this fundraise, need to bring someone on, definitely need some support. And he has been a great help. And I'm now looking to hire in operations now that we're launching into retail, realizing that there's a lot more operations work, logistics work. I'll also mention that I did take advantage of the government bounce back loan that was offered to startups. So we also took that out during the pandemic, and that helped us as our costs started to increase and we were doing the MPD work with the manufacturer and then starting to do smaller runs with the manufacturer. That's the point when things changed, needed a bit more capital. And then since following the bounce back loan, thought, okay, we need to raise some investment to really take this and get into our first retailer and like support that listing well. And that's when I started researching about raising investment, going to events, speaking to the founders that had raised investment that I met on those panels, and just learning more about it. And we raised 75,000 through angels and people in my network between December and June. So it took a good 6 months, just managing everything else on the side. Closed that in June, and then wanted to top that up with the crowd. And so kind of, took a little bit of a break downtime after the accelerators and after the raise in August, and then started preparing for it in September, and then we've gone live in October. And we set our target. So we were advised by the platform raising with Seeders to set our target quite manageable. So we set it at 100,000, but with a view to overfund. And so we were pleased to go kind of reach that quite quickly. So we did that in less than 72 hours during the private phase. So there's like a week-long private phase where everyone who's pre-registered for your campaign while you're on the coming soon page can put their email in and get notified when you go live. So it was during that time that we raised that amount. And then we're now in our first week of live, and we're at 118%, and very keen to like spread the word and raise more so that we can accelerate our growth. And at the moment we're just trying to let everyone know that we're not finished yet. We've got kind of targets to go higher.
Absolutely. I mean, how did you choose? I mean, obviously, how did you decide to use Seeders, or how did you actually decide to go crowdfunding?
I'd seen and was familiar with crowdfunding as a concept through hearing about other founders' experience of that. I got to meet Seeders at a trade show, and then again through our Unrest Accelerator. And I did speak with Crowdcube as well, those being the two major platforms that you'll probably work with if you want to do an equity crowdfunding campaign. And I think I decided to work with Seeders in the end because they were willing to work with startups who are raising smaller amounts, which was key. And I think they have a great track record with food and drink brands and consumer brands specifically. And a few founders that I know had kind of worked with them and had a good experience. So, but I think they offer pretty much the same services. But yeah, they have been great to work with, like really supportive. They give you kind of weekly support through your campaign, help you with the preparation, help you get your page live. So yeah, it's been really, really great.
What did you need in order to get that live? Do they request particular things or information or?
Yeah. So you might have heard that there's a lot of evidence that they need. They do a lot of checks and a lot of due diligence up front. Seeders do, which is great. So at least you know that every campaign that's up there, every single line in fact has been checked. So you write your pitch for your video, like your kind of pitch script. That's completely checked before you do the video. You might have to submit like 30, 50 pieces of evidence, so it can be quite time consuming. But yeah, they're fairly straightforward. So if you say, for example, I'm in talks with this retailer, they'll want to see email evidence of that. I've sold this many units, they'll want to see that you've done that on your Shopify, you've got this many orders, you're launching into this retailer, they'll want to see that that's actually happening. And they will also check for your like employment history. Even if you say you've worked at this employer, they might want to, even LinkedIn and your CV isn't enough, but they'll want to see some evidence that you've worked there, maybe an email or something. And then you write your kind of pitch for the page, all the kind of written copy that goes on the page, that's also checked. And then you need to go away and film your video. That took longer than I expected. So that was it. I used Dream Factory to film the footage. So we've been a member for a bit less than a year, and it's great to be able to pop in there. It's very convenient. And we use their kitchen setup with a really great kitchen behind. But then the editing and all the takes that you take, finding the right take, and then the kind of animation side, I was quite kind of particular on what the look that I wanted, and all the so many pictures we had from like our early days that I wanted to include to tell that story. So just set aside time to get the animation right. And then once you've got all of that live, then you're ready to go live.
What's the number to this morning? I'm assuming you look at it daily.
Yeah. So 118% we're at, which is great. So yeah, really, really pleased. And we're going to see if we can get it to 150 and maybe even more. And we're going to be organising a webinar in the middle of the campaign so that everyone on the platform can kind of get to know the brand and get to know me and our story and our growth plans a bit better. And then, yeah, it will be I'm sure it will fly by, and it will be into the last week already where we're going to do another big push.
You've been pretty busy over the last few years, it's fair to say. What's the plan for the range and what you can tell me about the plan for the range and the business over the next couple of years?
Yeah, 100%. So I am super excited about our retail listings that are coming up, which I'm sure people want to hear about how those came about, as well as the NPD and how we're going to be growing the range. So my biggest focus at the moment is we've just launched into Holland Barrett. So as you mentioned, 645 stores. And that did come about through Bread and Jam. So I'm pleased to share a success story from that. We met them. The buyer left. It didn't come about initially, kind of in the initial conversations afterwards, but then realized he left, picked up with the buyer that was on his out of office kind of I've left message. Fortunately, they were looking for chilled and fresh foods because they've just had a relaunch of revamp of their store layout. You'll see that they've got fridges across their stores, and they're bringing in a lot of kind of new innovative own label and branded products. And they were quite interested in trying overnight oats as a concept, so they brought us in as a branded product across all of their stores. Fantastic distribution to have as a first listing, and now we're thinking about how we can raise everyone's awareness and so that kind of drive them to the store and drive that rate of sale. And then Co-op, we're part of the apiary scheme, which I'm really, really pleased about. So that's an incubator scheme for mission-driven food and drink brands, and we're on cohort 2 of their program, and we're going to be in their chilled food to go area with a view to kick off for our product around June next year. And they Co-op are a fantastic partner, I think, firstly given their focus on convenience, and then secondly because they do so much work in the community and they're really focused on kind of purpose and mission, and kind of cooperating for a better world, as they say, or for a fairer world. And so I would definitely recommend. I think they are opening applications for the apiary scheme soon, in the winter. So definitely keep an eye on that, and just tell your authentic story. The whole program is about supporting startups and small businesses, but who are ready to enter retail, and who are quite a lot of focus on underrepresented founders, so female and kind of other backgrounds, and just an authentic story. So it's all about the story, and they kind of display that through the store, kind of different kind of POS and different things. So they're giving us a lot of support on the program as well, kind of sessions with experts and mentors on the program who are much more experienced founders. And so, yeah, I'd highly, highly recommend it. So I'm really excited about that, and going into it, just an ideal convenience retailer in like city centre locations. So I'm really excited about that. And then on the NPD side, so I mentioned that we're aiming to become the UK's first dedicated overnight oat brand that is going after that term overnight oats that hasn't yet been tapped into, both in chilled ready to eat, and we're looking at cereals. So we're developing a range of just add milk overnight oat mixes that allow you to prep perfect overnight oats anytime and anywhere, at home, at the office, or on the go. It's got all the ingredients that you need in it to prep the overnight oats, the oats and the fruits and the seeds. And we want to be the first like branded overnight oat product in the cereal aisle as well. So
sounds exciting.
Excited about that.
Well, thanks everyone for joining, and thanks so much for your time, Lauren. It is very exciting, and it must be incredibly exciting for you. And I look forward to seeing where Oatsu goes over the next handful of years. You can find out more about Oatsu and buy online, or I suppose actually at the moment you'd probably rather people pop down to Holland Barrett, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got an online store and we deliver straight to your door. You can do kind of mix and match bundles of on-the-go breakfast, and yeah, please do look out for us at Holland and Barrett. If you see us, please take a picture of us on the shelf and share it with me. I'd love to see kind of how they're looking in all the different stores. And we are judged on how well we do in our first month. So if you're feeling peckish, then feel free to pick one up. I'd really appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. You can listen to previous Food Founders interviews at froghop.co.uk/podcast, or search for Food Founders interviews wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll be back with Christopher Kong of Better Nature Temper on Friday, November the 10th, which is a couple of Fridays away. You can sign up at froghop.co.uk/kitchen. Thanks again, Lauren. Really nice speaking to you, and all the best.
Yeah, thanks so much. Great to speak to you. Have a good day.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Bye.